Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kita mulakan kelas kita pada pagi ini dengan membaca Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, arrahmanirrahim, maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala sayidina Muhammadin asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajmain. Ya Allah ya Tuhan kami, ampunkanlah dosa-dosa kami, ampunkanlah dosa kedua ibu bapa kami dan kasihilah mereka sebagaimana mereka mengasihi kami di masa kecil. Ya Allah ya Tuhan kami, kurniakanlah kepada kami ilmu yang bermanfaat untuk diri kami, keluarga kami, agama kami, bangsa kami dan negara kami. Ya Allah ya Tuhan kami, berilah kepada kami kejayaan di dunia dan di akhirat. Ya Allah ya Tuhan kami, jadikanlah kami orang-orang yang bersyukur. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Okay. Alhamdulillah kita bersyukur pada Allah SWT pada hari ini kita dapat meneruskan kelas kita untuk minggu yang kedua, kelas yang keempat. Okey. So saya nampak dekat depan saya ni ada semua dah. Semua hadir kan? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Jadi hari ini saya tak payah panggil nama lah. Semua ada. Okey. Dan kita sambung di mana kita berhenti pada kelas yang lepas, iaitu kita punya slide ni. Okay, slide on Ampers. Jadi sebenarnya pada awal minggu ni kita dah belajar tentang conceptual framework, conceptual framework, dan kita sampai sekarang ni kepada concept and pervasive principle in Ampers. Okay. The reference for setting MFRS is conceptual framework. The reference for setting the MFRS is conceptual framework. So it means when MASB, Malaysian Accounting Standard Boards, want to start with the preparation of a new Malaysian financial reporting standard, the reference that the MASB want to use is the conceptual framework. Whereas for AMPES, Malaysian Private Entity Reporting Standard, it has a separate section. It has a separate section known as Section 2 Concept and Pervasive Principles. The difference between Section 2 in AMPES and conceptual framework for MFRS are as follows. Okay, AMPES Section 2 highlight on qualitative characteristic of financial information such as reliability, substance over form, prudence, and balance between benefit and cost. Whereas for conceptual framework for MFRS, okay, it highlight the reliability. Reliability. So here, reliability has been replaced. Reliability has been replaced by faithful representation. So there is a difference. Highlight dia untuk AMPES, dia highlight tentang reliability, substance over form, prudence, balance between benefit and cost. But for conceptual framework, the term reliability has been replaced with faithful representation as one of the two fundamental qualitative characteristics in revised conceptual framework for MFRS. Okay, but it still highlight on relevance, faithful representation, comparability, verifiability, and timeliness, as well as understandability. So this is the first difference between AMPES Section 2 and conceptual framework for MFRS. Second, for AMPES Section 2, it specifies the pervasive recognition and measurement principle that include in accrual basis. Whereas for conceptual framework for MFRS, Prudence is a pervasive principle in MPERS and not in MFRS. So prudence is no more in MFRS. No more mentioned in MFRS. It is only mentioned in MPERS. Number 3, MPERS framework uses more cost-based measurement model, whereas MFRS framework prescribe fair value measurement mostly. Okay, fair value measurement mostly. Okay. So untuk ni kita boleh refer sekejap kepada dokumen yang saya beri. Okay, I have given you 2 documents this morning. So let's look at the document. The first document is, okay, let's look at this one. Okay, can you see this document? This document is Malaysian Private Entity Reporting Standard. Private Entity Reporting Standard. The standard has 35 sections. Has 35 sections. Okay. Section 1 is about private entity. Okay. Section 2 is about concept and pervasive principle that we have mentioned in the note just now. Okay. So concept and pervasive principle is in page 9. Let's look at page 9 first. Yes, this one. The concept and pervasive principle. And these are the qualitative characteristic of the information. Understandability, relevance, materiality, reliability, substance over form, prudence, completeness, comparability, timeliness, balance between benefit and cost. Okay. So itu yang dimaksudkan sebagai perbezaan di antara MPERS dengan MFRS conceptual framework. Okay, kita teruskan. Okay, pervasive constraint. Reporting financial information imposes costs. And it is important that those costs are justified by the benefit of reporting that information. Okay. Benefits include more efficient functioning of capital markets and a lower cost of capital for the economy, whereas the costs include collecting, processing, verifying, disseminating financial information, and the cost of analyzing and interpreting the information provided. So when we say we are comparing the benefit and the cost of preparing the financial statement for private entity, the benefit is referring to efficient function of capital market. Okay, whereas the cost include the cost of real collection of information, yeah, processing, verifying, disseminating financial information, and the cost of analyzing and interpreting the information provided. In applying the cost constraint, there must be assesses whether the benefit of reporting particular information are likely to justify the cost incurred to provide and use that information. Those assessments are usually based on a combination of quantitative and qualitative information. The benefits derived from information should exceed the cost of providing it. If the cost is exceeding the benefit, okay, if the cost is exceeding the benefit, that information will not be collected. Yeah, combination of quantitative and qualitative. So what is written here is the benefit derived from the information should exceed the cost of providing it. Okay, cost constraint on useful financial reporting. The first one is pervasive constraint. The benefit derived from the information should exceed the cost of providing. And the evaluation is substantially a judgment process. So, for example, what are the costs that may be incurred in collecting the information for the purpose of financial reporting? Number one is cost to the provider. Number two is cost to the user. So what are the costs to the provider? The cost to the provider are the cost of collecting, the cost of processing, the cost of verifying, the cost of dissemination of information. Collecting based on the document. Processing the transaction. Verifying, and also dissemination of information. After completion of the preparation of the financial statement, you have to disseminate the information. The cost for the users or to users, the first one is the cost of analyzing the financial statement. Okay, you receive an annual report, you receive a statement of profit or loss, statement of financial position, statement of cash flow, statement of changes in equity. So, can you read on your own? Can you analyze on your own? If you cannot analyze on your own, you need somebody to analyze for you, and you will incur costs. Analyze. Secondly, the cost of interpreting. What is the meaning of those annual report? What is the meaning of those financial report? If you can do on your own, you are going to do without any cost. But if you can't interpret, you have to ask somebody else, and you have to pay the somebody to interpret for you. And number three is the cost of obtaining additional information. So these are the costs, the costs incurred by the users, and these are the costs incurred by the providers. Undue cost or effort exemption. In original AMPERS 2014, numerous exemptions on measurement were given on the ground of undue cost or effort. The amended AMPERS 2015 clarifies that considering whether obtaining or determining the information necessary to comply with the requirement would involve undue cost or effort depends on the entity's specific circumstances and on management judgment. This is a qualitative assessment because it is typically not possible to quantify the benefits that users would receive. Whenever an undue cost or effort exemption is used by an entity, the entity shall disclose the fact and the reasons why applying the requirement would involve undue cost or effort. Okay, so the reference for all these notes is from Tan Leong Tong, 2019. So I would like to ask you whether you have bought this book, Tan Leong Tong. Did you buy? Did you buy the book?
Already order it.
Okay. I'm not forcing you to buy, but it is good if you have the book. It is good if you have the book because the book is containing a lot of information, especially this particular subject that you are taking. Okay, you can also share. To purchase the book, you can share. Maybe 2 orang ke, 4 orang ke, share. As long as at least in your group you have at least one book. You have at least one book that you can refer whenever necessary to refer. Okay, so the time left that we have, okay, kita ada lagi lebih kurang 25 minit begitu. Kita nak tengok dekat AMPERS dan juga dekat conceptual framework, the real document, the real document of AMPERS and the real document of conceptual framework. Kita akan tengok satu-satu. Sebab kalau tidak mungkin you tak tengok dokumen ni, tak sempat nak tengok. So kita tengok sama-sama lah. Kita tengok sama-sama dokumen ni. Ini adalah dokumen conceptual framework all together.
Sir.
Yeah. Have I shared this?
Sir tak share screen.
Tak share lagi. Conceptual framework. Okay. Ni this one. This is the first one. That is conceptual framework for MFRS. Ni untuk MFRS, the conceptual framework for financial reporting. Initially, it was in 2011, where must be issued conceptual framework, and then it was revised in 2018. So yang kita ada ni adalah untuk 2018, revision 2018. Okay. So kita tengok dekat sini dia punya content. The content comprise of status and purpose of the conceptual framework. What is the status and what are the purpose of conceptual framework? Okay. Jadi kalau dalam buku, dah ada ke siapa ada buku dalam ni? Belum. Ada tak siapa-siapa ada buku? Kalau buku yang edition 7 edition, buku yang 7 edition ni 2019 Selepas 2019 ni ada lain, tapi saya pun tak beli buku baru, saya pakai 2019 punya. Dia punya conceptual framework tu muka surat 29. Muka surat 29. Dan muka surat 29. Kemudian sampailah sampai muka surat 68. 67. 67. Muka surat 29 sampai muka surat 67. Jadi 40 muka surat lah conceptual framework for financial reporting ni. So di dalam dia ada conceptual framework for MFRS untuk financial reporting as well as for private entity. Private entity AMPERS tadilah. Jadi semuanya dia summarize dalam buku ni. Okay. Okay, so kita tengok yang sini. Yang sini conceptual framework for financial reporting, tajuk-tajuk dia. So ada all together ada 8 tajuk. Ada 8 tajuk sebagaimana yang kita sebut dalam nota lah. Ada 8 tajuk. Okay. Kemudian tajuk yang pertama adalah status and purpose of the conceptual framework. Status and purpose of the conceptual framework. Kemudian diikuti oleh chapter 1, the objective of general purpose financial reporting. Yang ni pun kita dah tengok dalam nota. General purpose financial reporting. Dekat situ ada dia punya objective of general purpose financial reporting. Objective, usefulness, limitation of general purpose financial reporting. So sebenarnya it is good for us if we can read Information about entity, economic resources. Claim against the entity and changes in resources, and also claim. Financial performance reflected by accrual accounting. Financial performance reflected by past cash flow. Changes in economic resources and claims not resulting from financial performance. Information about the use of the entity economic resources. Okay, itu adalah chapter yang pertama, ya. General purpose financial reporting. Chapter yang kedua, second chapter, is about qualitative characteristic of usefulness financial information. Okay, so yang ni kita dah belajar semua ni, relevance. Jadi detail dia, the detail you can read in this document. Relevance, materiality, faithful representation, okay, and then enhancing qualitative characteristic, comparability, verifiability, timeliness, understandability, ya. So ini semua adalah apa ada dalam nota, tapi dalam nota tu ringkas sangat. Okay, jadi kita start dengan 2.1 sampai 2.37. Okay, ini dia. Relevant. What is the meaning of relevant? What is the meaning of materiality? Jadi kalau dalam nota kita ada sikit-sikit je. Dekat sini panjang sikit ya, relevant. Relevant when financial information capable of making difference in decision. Financial information is capable of making difference if decision has predictive and confirmatory value or both. Itu ada dalam nota. Ni. Financial information has predictive value if it can be used as an input to process employed by user to predict future outcome. Financial information has confirmatory value if it provide feedback. Jadi yang kita kata predictive value tadi, kalau dia boleh bagi apa? Boleh bagi input. Input to the user to predict the future outcome. Kemudian confirmatory pula if it provide feedback about the previous evaluation. And the predictive value and confirmatory value of financial information are interrelated. So actually, predictive value and confirmatory value are interrelated. Information that has predictive value often also has confirmatory value. For example, revenue information for the current year. So you have revenue for the current year. That is an input which can be used as the basis to predict future year revenue. And then it can be compared with revenue, the actual revenue. The actual revenue. Jadi itulah, if the financial statement has the predictive value as well as confirmatory value, it is relevant. Okay. Kemudian yang kedua, materiality. Materiality. Materiality will be information is material if omitting or misstating could influence decision that the primary users of general purpose financial report make on the basis on those report which provide financial information about a specific reporting entity. Okay, kemudian faithful representation. Apakah disebutkan sebagai faithful representation? Faithful representation is actually, okay, ini kita sebut dah dalam kita punya nota, economic phenomena. Apa economic phenomena ni sebenarnya apa? Apa sebenarnya economic phenomena ni? Fenomena ni adalah peristiwa kan? Peristiwa, transaksi, transaction. So, if the financial report represent economic phenomena in words and numbers. In word and numbers. Itu kita panggil faithful representation. For example, on 1st January, you have a sale of 10,000. Okay. In word, it is a sale. In number, it is 100,000. In word and in numbers. To be useful, the financial information must not only represent relevant phenomena, but must also faithfully represent the substance of the phenomena. Jadi maknanya faithful representation. So kalau ada sale, kita ada setahun ada sebanyak 1,000 sale. Ada 1,000 sale. Ada 1,000 kali jualan. Jadi kita kena catat semua jualan tadi. Walaupun jualan tu ada yang 100,000, ada yang 10,000, ada yang 1,000, ada yang jualan 200 saja. Okay. So faithful representation, we have to record all. To be perfectly faithful representation, a depiction would have 3 characteristics. Okay. Jadi mestilah complete, neutral, free from error, of course. Okay, yang ni pun kita dah cerita dalam nota. Jadi saya membawa awak untuk melihat dan membaca conceptual framework ni. Banyak penjelasan dia tentang apa dia faithful representation. Panjang cerita tentang faithful representation. Jadi awak boleh baca semua sekali. Okay, kemudian applying the fundamental qualitative characteristic. Applying the fundamental qualitative characteristic. Kita ada 2 qualitative characteristic tadi. Okay, yang pertamanya adalah relevance. Yang kedua adalah faithful representation. So both relevant and faithful representation must be there. Information must be both relevant and provide faithful representation of what it purports to represent if it is to be useful. Jadi kalau katakan maklumat tadi cuma relevant tetapi tak ada faithful representation, the information is not useful. If there is only a faithful representation but no relevant, the information is not useful. Neither a faithful representation of an irrelevant phenomena nor unfaithful representation of a relevant phenomena help users make good decision. Ini yang saya sebut tadi. Maknanya tak boleh satu saja, relevant saja tak boleh, faithful representation saja pun tak boleh. Mesti ada dua-dua so that the information is useful for the users to make decision. Jadi macam mana kaedahnya untuk kita nak dapat dua-dua sekali tadi, relevant dengan faithful representation. Dia kata identify an economic phenomena. Identify dulu apakah transaction dia. Information about which it is capable of being useful to users of the reporting entity financial information. Second, identify the type of information. So that will be the most relevant. Third, determine whether the information is available and whether it can provide faithful representation of the economic phenomena. If so, the process of satisfying the fundamental qualitative characteristic ends at this point. Kan ada 3 step tadi. If not, the process is repeated with the next most relevant type of information. Enhancing qualitative characteristic. Ini yang 4 tu lah. Comparability. Panjang cerita dia. Verifiability. Okay. Dia kata, verification can be direct or indirect. Direct verification means verifying an amount or other representation through direct observation. For example, by counting the cash. By counting the cash. You put in your statement of financial position, the balance of cash is 1,000. And you can count the cash. You have to prove that the cash is really 1,000. Secondly, indirect verification means checking the inputs of a model, formula or other technique and recalculating the output using the same methodology. An example, verifying the carrying amount of inventory by checking the input. What is the opening balance of the inventory? and recalculating the ending inventory using the same cost flow. For example, using the first in, first out method. Jadi maknanya verification tadi, contoh tunai. Kita verify tunai. Tunai itu ada berapa dalam account. Let's say in the financial statement, 1,000 just now, you count the cash. Or for inventory, you can count the inventory. Or you can just use the formula or model to verify that the value for inventory is correct. Timeliness. Okay, timeliness is simple. Understandability. To be understandable, some phenomena are complex. Some phenomena are complex and cannot be made easy to understand. Excluding information about those phenomena from financial report may make the information in those financial report easier to understand. However, those report would be incomplete and therefore possibly misleading. Kan kadang-kadang ada satu transaction yang sukar untuk dijelaskan. Satu transaction yang sukar dijelaskan. Tetapi kita kena masukkan juga transaction tadi. Kita kena masukkan juga transaction tadi. Kalau tak masuk transaction tadi, akan menyebabkan kita punya financial statement incomplete. Bila incomplete, dia akan jadi misleading. Incomplete, dia akan jadi misleading. That's why the financial report are prepared for the users who have a reasonable knowledge of business and economy. If they have knowledge about business, if they have knowledge about economy, then they can be assumed to understand about the financial report. Kan? So, dia tahu what is sale, dia tahu what is purchase, dia tahu what is expenses, dia tahu what is asset, dia tahu what is liability, dia tahu what is equity. So, kalau 5 istilah tu pun dia tak tahu contohnya kan. Macam mana dia nak baca annual report? So, they must have certain level of knowledge. Certain knowledge on business, knowledge on economy. So that they can read and understand the financial statement. Jadi, understandability ni merujuk kepada apa dia? Certain level of knowledge ataupun reasonable knowledge. So, sebagaimana yang basic qualitative characteristic tadi, untuk yang enhancing qualitative characteristic, how we are going to apply. Macam mana kita nak gunakan. Enhancing qualitative characteristics should be maximized to the extent possible. However, the enhancing qualitative characteristic either individually or as a group cannot make information useful if that information is irrelevant or does not provide a faithful representation of what it purports to represent. So, applying enhancing qualitative characteristic is an iterative process. Iterative process that does not follow a prescribed order. Does not follow a prescribed order. So, kita nak mana satu dulu? Kan, ada 4 tu. Ada 4. Ada 4. Comparability. Adakah comparability dulu? Adakah verifiability dulu? Adakah timeliness dulu? Ataupun understandability dulu? Ataupun semuanya 25%, 25%, 25%? Adakah ikut susunan? 1, 2, 3, 4 ataupun 4, 3, 2, 1 ataupun 1, 3, 2, 4 ataupun 1, 4, 3, 2? Itu dia. Not necessarily following the order. Sometimes one enhancing qualitative characteristic may have to be diminished to maximize another qualitative characteristic. For example, a temporary reduction in comparability as a result of prospectively applying a new standard may be worthwhile to improve relevance or faithful representation in the longer term. Appropriate disclosure may partially compensate for comparability. Okey, contohnya kita nak sacrifice comparability sebab kita follow new accounting policy. Kita adopt new accounting policy. So, last year kita belum adopt lagi accounting policy tu. Tetapi current year kita dah adopt accounting policy. Jadi apabila kita adopt two different accounting policy, comparability will be less. Comparability will be less sebab last year we use different accounting policy and this year we start using different accounting policy. Okay, jadi kita diminish the percentage of comparability. But the other enhancing qualitative characteristic ataupun the other qualitative characteristic. Sekarang ni bila kita tukar dia punya accounting policy, it will result in more relevant and more faithful representation in the longer term. Jadi kadang-kadang kita terpaksa sacrifice, bukan kita buang terus comparability, tapi kita sacrifice, kita diminish kita punya apa yang kita panggil sebagai comparability. Okay, so ada 4 tadi: comparability, timeliness, verifiability. Jadi kat situ yang 4 tadi tidak semestinya kita mengikut sequence ataupun sama banyak 25 25 25. Jadi ada kat situ ada discretion, tapi kita nak ada semualah: timeliness, understandability, verifiability and comparability. Okay, itu cerita qualitative and also enhancing qualitative characteristic. Okay, ini yang paling penting sekali, financial statement and reporting entity. Financial statement. What are the objective of financial statement? What is reporting period? What is going concern? Jadi kat sini kita nak kena tahu ni 3.2. And then untuk company yang ada group, kita akan kena consolidated financial statement. Kita tengok 3.1. Apa yang perlu ada dalam financial statement? Ni dia. Ni dia. That information is provided. Okay. Jadi dalam financial statement kita kena ada statement of financial position that recognize asset, liabilities, equity. 3 benda. And then kita ada statement of financial performance ataupun statement of profit or loss by recognizing income and expenses. In other statement and notes by presenting and disclosing information about asset, liability, equity, income, expenses. Okay. Asset, liability that have been recognized, have not been recognized, cash flow, contribution from holders of equity, the methods, assumption and judgment used in estimating the amount presented. And reporting period. Kita punya reporting period ni berapa lama? Sebulan, 2 bulan, 6 bulan, setahun. Financial statement are prepared for a specified period of time. And provide information about asset, liabilities, including unrecognized asset and liabilities and equity that existed at the end of the reporting period or during the reporting period, and income and expenses for the reporting period. A and B is very important. Kalau tak ada A dengan B ni, tak adalah financial statement. Okay. Dan financial report perlu apa dia? Perlu menyatakan berapa banyak asset, liability, equity, income, expenses ni dalam tempoh yang kita panggil sebagai reporting period, iaitu setahun. Ini going concern. Panjang cerita going concern. Boleh baca. Consolidated and consolidated. Jadi sebenarnya banyak perkara yang kita boleh baca kat sini. Jadi mungkin sekarang ni belum ada lagi apa grup projek yang perlu dibuat pada hujung minggu. Saya tahulah mungkin ada kerja-kerja yang diberi oleh pensyarah memang ada, tetapi mungkin belum ada lagi grup projek. Jadi saya sangat menggalakkan awak untuk membaca conceptual framework ni. Sebab ini adalah asas kepada subjek kita iaitu FAR 410 ni. Asas dia di sini conceptual framework, especially conceptual framework untuk MFRS ni. Yang ni lah conceptual framework 2018. Dan kalau sempat baca jugalah yang conceptual framework untuk MPERS tadi. Okey, kelas? Sekarang ni ada 10. Macam mana boleh jadi 10 orang? Nur Zafira ada, Nur Dania ada, Roshafika ada, Nur Nabilah ada, Nur Iman Husna, Nur Ardini. Nur Ardini ni baru ke? Nur Ardini baru masuk dengan Atira. Nur Ardini ni kelas apa ya? Nur Ardini ni kelas diploma. Atira diploma juga. Okey, awak tak keluar tadi ataupun awak baru masuk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okey, jadi student saya untuk FAR 410 ni cukuplah 8 orang. Okey, ada apa persoalan kelas? Sebelum kita bersurai hari ni. Minggu depan tajuk baru.
Prof.
Ya.
Boleh Prof sharekan jawapan
Tutorial.
chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Okey.
Thank you,
Nanti
Prof.
WhatsApp saya ingatkan ya. Okey. Ada apa-apa lagi yang lain? Okey, kalau tak ada kita bersurai, kita sudahi dengan surah Wal-Asr. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa allazina amanu wa amilus solihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof.